Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of, we normally call it Rugby Reclined, but I think this week we're going to go Restart Rugby Reclined. Like that. Just a little something for those that like it. It's a big week, obviously, for the Restart Players charity, and it's a real treat to have Ollie Lawrence alongside. How are you? It's nice to see you.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really good. It's good to be on.
Where are you? What have you been up to today? What's in the diary for this week?
Just been a day off today. It's been pretty chill. I say chill. It's been a lot of went into the club to do some treatment and some recovery. Small gym session, and then back here for today. Haven't really done much. Had some breakfast here and just watched a bit of highlights from the Man City game last night.
Can you file that under recovery, or is there stuff that you coulda, shoulda, would have been doing, but frankly today is not the day?
Nah, it's just been today's like off days are mainly just for recovery. So like, I was in the club about probably 11, yeah, about half 11, and then just did like sauna, like hot and colds, bit of treatment with the physios, and a gym session. Yeah, that's pretty much been my day off. I mean, day off these days aren't really days off. You still got to stay a bit active. So
Tell you what, gym session and a sauna. I mean, you are living your best life. Do you feel you're living your best life at the moment? Are you reveling in everything that you've got, or are you someone who's got itches to scratch?
I think like I'm enjoying my rugby. I think this year's been kind of up and down with everything that's gone on externally, away from rugby. But yeah, there's a lot more things that I've got left to tick off, and a lot more that I want to give to the game and get out my career. So yeah, I guess there's a lot of things still to scratch, but yeah, I'm enjoying it so far.
Hit me with what are the scratches without sort of wanting to get too personal. But are you someone that does a bit of planning, and do you have to-do lists in the sport, or are you somebody who just says it's about getting better, consistency, that kind of thing, or have you got targets?
Um, I think every player has targets probably written down somewhere or in the back of their head, but I try not to focus on them too much because some of the things aren't always in your control. But yeah, no, I think with this year, obviously, I managed to get involved with the England stuff, and that was one of the big things for me that I wanted to do. Obviously, it's why I started out playing. So that's definitely something that has been like an achievement for me this season. But like I said, with that, there's a lot more I want to go with it, and obviously keep pushing to be a regular within the team, and that's going to come from obviously playing well week in week out at Worcester, really.
Yeah. Um, I'd love to ask you a bit about England. I can understand entirely why you'd rather just say, keep going, etc. But it's always very interesting. There are a lot of people who've had a lot to say about you within the England setup. And I just wonder whether you read that and you think, that's kind, but you don't actually know what's going on, or whether, there is a bit more to it than that. And you feel that perhaps it hasn't gone as you wanted, etc. like that. I mean, do you know exactly where you stand with Eddie Jones and England right now? Or is it a little bit of having to figure it out yourself?
Yeah, I think it's always a bit of trying to figure out yourself. It's trying to, I guess, like find the best version of yourself, and try and deliver that, to get yourself in contention with being selected. I think that's the best. That's probably one of the best things about Eddie is you kind of always have to be on it, kind of always on your toes, which is probably the best because as soon as you get comfortable, that's probably when you start slacking a bit. So I think, yeah, I think I'd very much say I'm on my toes and still trying to push to be in contention. I don't think I fully will ever know where I stand in terms of. I don't think there's any guarantees in this game. So I think yeah, it's one of those things. You just got to keep working hard.
What was the last comms you had from him? I mean, does he? We hear a lot about these texts at 4 a.m. in the morning, and there's everyone's constantly kind of checking their phone and making sure that they're doing what they're meant to be doing. Have you had criteria from him saying, right, these three things, keep him clean
Um,
and simple?
I've had some comms from him, which have been so far fairly concise. But in terms of the 4 a.m. texts, I've stayed away from them so far. I haven't. Luckily, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, not to have had them. But yeah, no, it was kind of the biggest thing for me was, um, obviously word got to by the end of the Six Nations just gone. Just making sure when I came back to my club, I kept driving my own standards and kept pushing on and didn't slack at all. That was the biggest thing that he said to me. Obviously, coming off the back of that campaign.
Have you found fellow players and fellow sort of teammates within the national setup useful to bounce off? I mean, there are a lot of players who've been through a lot of rugby and a lot of highs and lows, etc. Has anyone offered you a bit of, keep going type?
Yeah, I think all the boys, to be honest with you, were really good when I went into camp. Like, everyone's very supportive, especially of the younger boys. They kind of want them to understand the setup as quick as possible and understand what they need, where they need to be at, and the level they need to be at. But I think I kind of was close with probably Ant and Sinks probably the most within camp, and they kind of helped me quite a lot in terms of just always like kind of they were there for me like quite a lot. They really supported me in terms of keeping my progression there, and just whenever I needed a chat, like they were there, and they kind of always had had my back, which was nice. But like I said, the whole squad in itself was really supportive, and anyone will always offer a helping hand, and especially on the field, like the small things that you need to look at, like there's people, everyone like will help each other out. I don't think it's kind of one of those places where it's just very individual. You look after yourself. It's very much we look after each other, which is I think is good.
Yeah. I read a really interesting article with Alex Lozovsky this week, actually, who I know played for Montpellier against Bath. It was just a really interesting perspective, and you don't need me to tell you, but often, as a supporter or a fan or a broadcaster, you're focused so much on the team, and regardless of who comes in and who comes out, you're always talking about who is the incumbent. And it was very interesting listening to Alex say that it had been a really tough journey for him off the back of getting a little nibble, but then not being able to quite sort of nail down his opportunity. You've got a lot of time, and you've got bags of potential, and you've got all the credentials you need. I just wonder whether you find yourself, have you felt like I've got a bit of a flat tire, or has it just literally poured fuel on the fire and given you the sort of right time to redouble? Let's go again.
Yeah, I think definitely the latter. I think for me, like the frustration from not exactly getting what I wanted from out of the campaigns, like that I took huge learnings from both sides of things, playing and not playing. So I think for me, it was just learning curves, and like I said, it just added fuel to the fire and just made me realise how much I wanted to be a part of that setup, and how much more I need to keep improving to consistently be there.
Good on you. How are things at Warriors at the moment? What's the sort of what's on the whiteboard?
I think the biggest thing for us at the moment, we're going through quite a large transition phase with a lot of players leaving, new coaching staff. So I think it's, for us as a team, I think the biggest thing is kind of just trying to build towards a place where we can be a lot more consistent. I think we've struggled on the back end of results this season, and haven't been where we wanted to be. But within the club, I think we have come a long way. I think we've still got a long way to go, but we've made positive strides within the club. So I think as a team, we're obviously very disappointed with where we're sitting in the table and how things have gone this season. But I think the biggest thing for us as a team is to kind of ignore the external noise and try and just focus on us as a team, which isn't always easy. But we're doing our best, I guess. But yeah, we've got a long way to go. But I think we're heading in the right direction. How long that will take, I don't have the answers for. But yeah, I guess it's one of those things. It's been tough this year. It's been very challenging. But I mean, it's never easy in rugby. You're never always going to get the results you want. So I think the best thing for us is to just keep our heads down and keep digging in.
Here comes the bouncer. Can you get to where you want to get to at Worcester?
I think like I said, you can only control what you can control. All I can do is train and play as hard as I can at Worcester, and the external things unfortunately I can't control. So the biggest focus for me is, because this question has popped up a few times now, is I've just got to crack on with things and focus on trying to make this team better. Like I said, it's my home club. And it is difficult. Like, it is difficult.
I'm just laughing because this one's you've just ducked. It's gone straight through to the keeper. I mean, you're not even making an attempt. But I get it. It's an unfair question, and I definitely don't want to put you on the spot. I'm just interested as to whether these are conversations that you can open and honest conversations you can have with owners and coaches and things like that. You are a guy who has got it all. but you need to be able to show that. And you're not the first. You're certainly not going to be the last who, needs the club to back up the things you want to do.
Yeah, no, I think your ambitions as a player and a club need to be aligned in some way. And I think where the club wants to go in the future, I think they do want to be a sustainable top 6 team. It's just how long that's going to take to get there. Like I said, we don't have the answers for that. But yeah, no, I think it's a tough one really, because the club in itself means a lot to me, means a lot to my family. They gave me the opportunity to be in the position I'm in now. So I owe a lot to the club. I don't know what detriment that will have to my career, or if it'll even have any sort of detriment to my career. But I think the biggest thing for me is I've just got to focus on my craft, focus on being the best version of myself. And I think regardless of results on the weekend, as long as I'm performing in the right way and playing well each weekend, I think hopefully that will contribute to some success in the near future.
Very well played. Textbook, straight out of the middle of the media handbook. Tell me about you away from the game. What are the things? I mean, it's very difficult, I know, and your day off is about recovery. But are you someone who loves a challenge away from the field, and you like to escape from rugby as soon as you can, or are you someone who loves to immerse yourself in it because that's how you get the best out of yourself?
I'd say a bit of both. I enjoy watching my rugby. I won't sit inside the whole weekend watching it. But if there's games or my friends are playing, then I'll be watching the games, or any big games or big teams I'll be watching. But yeah, I'm quite a competitive person, so I like doing things away from rugby that involve some sort of competition. So I guess the PS5 has been quite my gaming lifestyle, I think, was a big thing for me. To be fair, since coming back from camp, I haven't actually gamed at all. So it's been quite a while. I've had a bit of a sabbatical, I'd like to call it. But yeah, no,
what's your game of choice?
Probably Call of Duty. I think that's the biggest one for me. I think playing with some of the boys in camp, I went in a bit too hot-headed and tried to claim I was maybe a bit better than I actually was, which it went down. It went down, as you can imagine. But nah, it was all fun. It's just something to switch off from. But I think away from rugby, that the biggest things for me is just I like to spend time with my family or my friends, but very much in like a closed environment. I like to be at home. That's where I spend most of my time.
Who is the current COD chief at? It wasn't Penny Hill, was it? It was the Lensbury. But who currently sits on the throne?
Well, I think it'd be hard to ignore Dickie because he's
still got it, has he?
He's still playing. He plays Fortnite quite a lot. So he's kind of mixing and matching games because he's just like that good. But I think I'd say Anthony's probably up there. He's got to be, him and Dickie are probably the best two.
And who is the worst? Who is the one person that occasionally gets given the control and has absolutely no idea what they're doing? I'm always fascinated by that.
I'll tell you. I'm not sure. I've heard. So there's different like kind of squads which we play with. Like some boys playing one squad, some boys playing another squad. But I don't know who actually is the worst. Like,
does Owen ever get involved in things like that? Was he too busy?
To be fair, he actually got involved towards the end of the Six Nations. He did play a bit. I don't know how good he was, but I think he liked playing one of the games which is like Rebirth, which is where you can die as many times but you just come back and kill people.
Right. Sounds about right.
I think his performances on the Call of Duty definitely stepped up towards the end of the Six Nations. But no, I actually wouldn't know who's the worst. I reckon if you ask the squad, potentially my name might be thrown in there, but I would disagree heavily with that one.
Sorry to hear that. Taken to school.
Yeah.
And obviously, I mean, you got a lot of time, and I don't. I mean, it may not be something, but do you think about life away from rugby at all? I mean, you mentioned talking, spending time with friends and family and stuff. But are you somebody who keeps your eyes on the horizon a little bit and what comes next and that kind of thing, or are you someone who just, I'm about the here and now, and I'll worry about that later?
Yeah, I think a bit. I'd say I'm more focused on what's going on right now than in the future. I think financially, probably, I do keep a close eye on things in terms of what I'm going to do in the future. But in terms of like my present self, I'm kind of trying to stay in the moment as much as possible and be present in the here and now. Try not to worry too much about what's gonna happen next. And I think, yeah, I guess at a young age, it's very easy to slip down the wrong route there and kind of just focus on the here and now. And you end up, you blink and 4 years go by, you're 25, 26, you're no longer considered one of the young boys anymore. And then you're like, oh, I'm in the back end of my career now. I've only got 6 years to go. I think, yeah, definitely. And there's a part of me that kind of questions what I want to do after rugby. But right now, like my focus is very much on the here and now and playing as much as I can and just enjoying my rugby.
You mentioned you watched a bit of rugby. What was the era, or who were the players that you remember watching as a kid that you were inspired by? You came up on the rails. Did you go to Six Ways as a kid, or have I made that up?
Yeah, no, I went a couple of times when I was younger, but like I didn't really like get into rugby like properly, like watching it all the time. Probably until I was maybe like 15, 16.
Yeah.
Because I played.
So who would have been in the England team at that point? I mean, I dread to think it was probably Owen, and that not that long
I think
ago,
it was like Owen, Brad Barrett, Manu. Who else is kicking about then? JJ, like those players, like 2015 was the first like World Cup. Like I watched 2011. So my first memory was 2011 World Cup. Like that's the first World Cup I remember watching.
I'm so pleased for you.
But
I suddenly feel about 110. But yeah, keep going because.
I think the era of like I watched quite a lot of. Well, I say quite watched. I didn't. It wasn't as accessible then the Super Rugby, but like the players like growing up, I watched like quite a lot of like Marnonu, like Sonny Bill, and then over here like Manu was probably the biggest player for me that I watched kind of growing up that I just enjoyed watching. Like I'd watch quite a lot of clips and stuff, and just him as a player was kind of I just was like, yeah, that's a player that like excites me. And then I guess that's where I'm at now with it, really.
I want to ask you. I showed the Restart T-shirt at the beginning of this. I want to ask you a couple of bits about that because obviously it's a big week for Restart with the Restart rounds, etc. as well. And there'll be lots more information about that for those who are interested. But we were touching earlier, I suppose, on I was mentioning that Alex Lozovsky interview actually, and I suppose the challenges of being a professional sportsman. I mean, the mental health element of what you guys do and what you go through, etc. I mean, how important is Restart or support channels for you as young guys in the public eye who are, elite at what you do, but are on a pretty high pedestal and a high stage as a result? I mean, is that something that you turn to? Is it something that you hear others using quite a lot? Where is that sort of mental health support in what you do day to day?
I think like I think it's the biggest thing for me is I kind of had a bit of a struggle a couple of seasons ago when I got injured for the first time. That was my first kind of injury in my career. And that's when I kind of struggled a bit just mentally. I just kind of had a lot on and to like be not playing and not being able to do what you love doing, it kind of is daunting and you do question like, well, what do I do now? So I think it is really important, the mental health side of things. And I think having those support channels like Restart is really important because, like I said, all the funds raised and stuff towards that is going towards funding like 24/7 support for all players, whether they're present playing or have the finish playing. And I think that is really important for someone to have someone to lean on. I think a lot of boys do use each other and their friends and their I guess family connections to speak about those things, but having someone outside of that that bubble, I guess, sometimes can just be an ear to listen to things or to give you advice. But I think the biggest thing is just talking about it. Whether the person you're speaking to has the answers, it's just getting it out there and just being open as you can. And I know it's not easy. Like I struggled with it, and I guess to an extent I still do, but I've kind of learned how to deal with it a bit more as I've got older.
That was exactly the question I was going to follow up with, actually. Because I've spoken, Hask, Tins and I have spoken in the past about, well, less Tins actually, but Hask and I have spoken about some of the challenges that we've gone through, personally from a sort of broadcasting perspective. I, funnily enough, feel that having been through something where it's properly skittled me, I feel much more robust, much stronger. I feel I've got sort of coping mechanisms, having spoken to people about that kind of thing. I wonder whether, you've learned from the challenge that you've had in that regard as well.
Yeah, I think definitely. I think in terms of injuries, like I've definitely learned that it's not the be all and end all. Like you're going to get injuries in rugby. That's just the nature of the game, and I think it's dealing with it in the right way and going the right way about it and looking at it in a different aspect. Like you take Jack Willis, for example, like the fact he's doing all the videos and everything like that. It's kind of that release mechanism to kind of get through that. And it's important to realise that when you are injured, it can be tough, and you never know like how long things are going to take, and if, like, God forbid anyone has an injury where they can't play again, that's like it's a tricky situation. Like you said, I think the things I've learned is like speaking to the people close to you sometimes is the best thing. Like not even necessarily just anybody, but someone that you trust and someone that, you know, you can just have that conversation with just to check up on people, because you never always know how someone is deep down. And I think a lot of people do hide things, but I think it is important to speak up.
Yeah. And obviously it's not just the mental health element. When you talk about unfortunate instance where players can't play again, Michael Fattslie, obviously someone that the charity was big into supporting not that long ago. Have you spoken to Michael recently? Where's he at with his journey?
I speak to him like pretty much most weeks when I can. I've literally FaceTimed him on Monday actually, just to see how he was getting on, and he's doing well. He's kind of had a bit of a break from like the rehab side of things and just kind of been enjoying his life and just getting used to how things are now. And then hopefully he's moving away over to Cook Islands. He's going to set up his like next chapter of his life, I guess. So things I think for him, he's enjoying his life at the moment. Just coming to like I said, coming to terms with how things are now and kind of realizing that this is the next chapter of his life and he's going to front it exactly how he wants to and start enjoying himself. But yeah, now he was someone I was really close to, one of my best mates at the club. So it was tough seeing that. But to see where he was, like over a year and a bit ago to where he is now, it's an incredible story. And like I said, it's one that I'm glad that I was able to be there for him. Obviously, it's never nice to see your friends go through any sort of pain or trauma. But to see how he overcame adversity and came through all of that and see how he is now, it's really good.
That is very good to hear, and send him our very, very best. I hope there is an exciting new chapter awaiting him in what a place, the Cook Islands.
Yeah.
So all the best to him. So this is your sort of bang the drum bit, really. But tell everybody how they can get involved in Restart Round this week. So it's round 18 of the Gallagher Premiership. It's devoted and dedicated to Restart, the official charity, the Rugby Players Association. All the fixtures this weekend are going to be supporting Restart and the important work they're doing with players' mental health, etc. But what do you want from those who are watching this?
The big thing I think this weekend is getting involved with like checking the Restarts, any of their social media channels. They've got a 5K challenge going on at the moment, and basically it's run 5K, donate £5 and nominate 5 people. It's pretty as simple as that. Very similar to what we did in the lockdown where everyone's doing the 5K challenge, but yeah. It's a great opportunity to donate and get people moving and get people supporting a good cause. And like I said, 5K should only take you 20 odd minutes, so it shouldn't take too long out of your day.
Bloody hell, all right, elite. I've actually done it, Ollie. I've done my 5K. So I would wholeheartedly encourage everyone to get involved. It is a brilliant cause, obviously. Loads of ways that the rugby community can give back to the charity as part of the fundraising campaign. It's running from the 3rd, so a couple of days ago, to the 16th of May. Get off your sofa, do your 5K, pop £5 in the pot and nominate 5 mates to go and get it done as well. Every donation matters. It goes directly to funding the charity's 24/7 confidential counselling service that up to 50 players are referred to every season. They are our week-to-week heroes, and we need to look after them. Dip into Restart Rugby and all the main social media channels to find out what you can do to get involved. Simple as that. We love a simple cause. It's been very, very nice to catch up. What is left on the rest of today? You've so far it's now 3:30. So you've had breakfast and you've watched the football highlights. What else is got to be done by the end of the day?
I've got a bit more recovery to do. Bit of stretching, and then big game for Chelsea tonight. Against Real Madrid at home, so I need a big win. So we've got a Chelsea final. Are
you a Chelsea fan?
Yeah.
How do you equate that with living in Worcester?
So I don't even know, because obviously I was born in Birmingham, so my dad was a Wolves fan, and he
I used to go and watch Wolves in the days of Steve Bull.
yeah, and then he
Long time ago.
to his he wasn't so happy about it, but I remember, or I don't remember. He told me the story. We basically went to maybe a football store when we were younger, and then I literally picked a kit. It was the Chelsea kit. I think it was 2004. So I'd have been 5 then, turning 5. And then since then, it's been the Blues ever since. Never swayed. And not to my dad's liking. But yeah, no, I've been with them since, well, I say day dot, since I was 4. And then yeah, big supporter since, and I like to keep up to date with what's going on with them. But yeah, it's a big game today.
What a thoroughly depressing way to end this show, on you declaring that you're a Chelsea fan based on a kit. But we'll give it to you. Are they going to make the Champions League final?
Yes, I think it's going to be a 2-1 to Chelsea this evening.
But they'll lose to City when they get there.
I don't know. I think we'll go. We're going with a Chelsea win. It's actually funny enough. I read a stat the other day, which was floating about, and it was basically comparing this season to the 2014 season when we won the Champions League, and some of the statistics at the time in terms of to do with the managers coming in, playing certain teams at certain times, the results of the certain games, the age of the player, the amount of goals Giroud had scored compared to Drogba in 2014, all aligned. So all I'm saying is it's kind of destined for us to win the double, hopefully beat Leicester in the Carabao Cup, and then beat Man City in the final Champions League.
Clinging to driftwood, nothing more. Ollie, it's been very nice to catch up, and I hope you rip it up in the rest of the season, and I hope you rip it up when the chance comes, hopefully this summer, back in the white of England as well. It'd be really good to see you do that, and I know there'll be a lot of people who will echo that sentiment. Thank you for doing this, and thank you for banging the drum for Restart as well. We'll try and get all of our mob involved in that. Back to the football. Look after yourself. Thanks for swinging by.
Cheers. Thank you for having me on.